Hello there, world of tankers, and welcome to the channel. I'm your host, Droodles Blitz, and in today's video, I'll be playing in the WZ-111 5A. This is obviously one of my favorite tanks in the game. It is an incredibly mobile, high rate of fire, and decent alpha heavy tank. And while it has been changed a little bit for the worse, I still really do like this tank's overall capability and do quite well in it. Just the 10 games I've played on the vehicle on my press account are sitting at an 80% win rate with 4,150 damage, and it shows just how well this vehicle can do. The 5A is great because it has multiple characteristics that I really enjoy. First of all, it has gun depression. Not a lot, but 7 degrees is enough to work most ridgelines at least somewhat effective. You can hide your hull and use your turret armor. That alone makes the 5A pretty flexible. When you pair that with a top speed of 45 kilometers per hour, a very solid power to weight of 19, and almost 3,000 DPM, that's pretty solid. Those characteristics all bundled together allow this vehicle to be flexible on the majority of situations you put it in. And when you pair that with a fantastic turret, the 5A is honestly a pretty solid vehicle, at least in my opinion. Now, I do feel like this vehicle will get buffed at some point, hopefully on the penetration. I tell Flossie all the time, if Wargaming simply buffed the heat pen on this vehicle to be 350 or 60, just like the other tier 10 heavies, it would instantly become S tier. I will agree, the 5A needs more pen. Right now, it just doesn't have enough. That's why I'm running Gunrammer, because even with calibrated shells, you still don't have the opportunity to cut through vehicles like the E100 and the Jagdpanzer. But it's okay, I guess. We basically have a medium take in terms of penetration, which isn't great, but the mobility, as we can see, is absolutely fantastic. We're currently chilling at 42 kilometers per hour, and yeah, this is where the tank does feel great. Having that mobility and the opportunity to just make your way over towards whatever flank of the map you're going pretty quickly is great. Unfortunately, not fast enough. The enemy Sheridan slams a shell into me, bringing me down to about 1900 health. Sheridans are just one of the most dangerous tanks in the game, and that right there is a fantastic example of why I think the Sheridan is much harder to fight than a Bosch Chatillon. There's no way a Batchat would have been able to just get away with doing that, but the Sheridan can literally sit, get a slap out, back into cover before you can even have a reaction. So, oh well, we're down about, a third or fourth of our health there, but thankfully, we are in a hull down position. And at this point, I'm hoping that I can just get some shells out. I was really wishing that we had the gun depression to hit this 268, but I'm also not going to put myself in a position where I am able to be shot. But oh boy, this is not looking great. The enemy WZ goes through my frickin' gun mantlet. You know why? Because Wargaming nerfed the gun mantlet on the 5A for some reason. One of the most annoying nerfs in the game. Why would you nerf one of the major strengths this vehicle has? I don't know. Man, whoever came up with that decision in Wargaming headquarters. Either way, we have lost about half of our health at this current time, which isn't all too good, but at least we have dealt about 1600 damage, and that's not too bad. We are getting out cells, we are getting out damage. You can see the very quick reload on this vehicle, giving us the opportunity to get out some pretty quick shooting. I mean, we're already up to 2,200 damage now, and we almost have another shell loaded in the barrel. This Sheridan needs to go. This player is in a very, very annoying position. If I try to work this hill, he's probably going to shoot me. Thankfully, Sheridan's not paying attention and allows me to get a shell into the top of his turret. Just like that, he is now 360 health and a one-shot for our tank. The other good news is if the Sheridan tries to make a poke to shoot our Badger, I will have the opportunity to clear him. So there's that. The downside is obviously the fact that, well, the team's not doing all too great here. I also realized that my game volume might be quite a bit loud, so I turned it down a little bit. Hopefully it wasn't breaking your eardrums. Either way, we're going to push the Sheridan all the way down, and there you go. He is dead. Obviously, with a vehicle weighing in at 16 tons versus my probably 50-ish, 60 tons on my tank, there's just no way that Sheridan had the opportunity to stop me from pushing him there. So now we're going to move over towards the mouse. And obviously I'm not going to be able to pen the mouse with my tank, and especially because I'm running rammer. So I'm going to have to actually break that little building there, and then load gold to be able to cut through his turret cheek. We are already up to 3,400 damage this game, which is pretty good. And this Badger does get a very solid farm out here. I was kind of hoping he wouldn't, because I might have been able to deal a bit more, but at the same time, I do end up losing a decent amount of my health here in the end game situation, just because of where the enemy team is camping. The enemy WZ sitting all the way in the back, he misses me. That's actually a pretty good player in the WZ as well, but yeah, not able to stop us from being, you know, dominant in the 5A. 4,300 damage dealt. We got a bounce from the enemy boss Chatillon, and we're going to keep on going up, and bruh, the enemy Foch bonks us. Thankfully, we do get a shell into the Foch, and before the bat check can clear me, the teammate I have finishes him off. So pretty good stuff, actually. 4,700 damage dealt now, and we're going to see if we can get a shot into the enemy Foch. Wait for him to over-angle his sides, and there you go. 450. Okay, not bad. That is 5,000, almost 200 damage, 1,790 blocked. It's a great example of where the 5A is so incredibly flexible. And if that one shell from the WZ didn't pen us in the gun mantlet, we would have been pretty healthy right now at about 800, 700-ish. So, yeah, a little annoying that that did end up happening, but I can't get all too mad. Great game overall, and I think it is a good example of where the 5A is so flexible. We are able to put it in a lot of situations where, if you were in certain heavies, they just wouldn't have been able to deal with the situation at hand. There's no way an E100, or even in my opinion an FV2 and 5B, would have been able to hold as well as I did, clear the Sheridan, and then make its way through and not die in the process. So pretty good game. 2,780 damage blocked. We did 5,200 dealt. We obviously finished top on the team. Pretty solid game overall. Now we're going to make our way into game number 2, this one being on Mines. Mines is normally a very tricky map to play on, because of the fact you usually want turret armor and gun depression to do very well on it. But I'm in the 5A. This thing's got turret armor, it's got gun depression, and we have 3,000 DPM. So essentially, we have everything that you'd want to work Mines Hill quite effectively. So what do we have up against us? Well, definitely some dangerous vehicles, a T110E4, a 183, and a Grill 15 in terms of tank destroyers. They also have a 60 TP, 100 TVP, and an IS-7. I mean, they've got a very strong lineup. But at the same time, we have two 113 GFTs in platoon, and they are decent players. That was a really bad shot. I don't know how that shell didn't go into the flat side of the 60 TP's turret. I guess that's just my bad luck. But we'll hatch him to make up for it, so I guess it's not the biggest deal ever. And in return, we also got a bounce from the enemy 183 right in our turret. As I said, the armor on this vehicle is very strong when it comes to... Actually, we didn't get it on the turret. We bounced on the hull. That's very lucky. But yeah, the turret armor is still quite impressive on this vehicle. We're going to aim in on the IS-7, and that's really the only spot I could have penned him there. You have to load, heat, and basically hope that it goes right next to the gun mantlet. But for every good shot I get, there's an equally bad shot. Perfectly aimed on the hatch of the E4, misses. Like, bruh, really? Yeah, that's the one unfortunate thing about the 5A, is that its dispersion isn't great. It's 0.35, and because of that, you will just miss really easy shots like that. I mean, I don't even understand how that misses. So, yeah, the E4, which should have been about 100 health right now, has gotten away with poking 2 times, which is honestly rather irritating. Our WZ is playing pretty aggressive, somehow manages to bounce the enemy IS-7. I'm going to try once again my luck on this E4. There you go. That time we get the shell out, dealing 400 damage, and brings us up to 1,200. Okay, not the best start, but we haven't bled any health. And not bleeding health is a very important thing. Because our WZ is playing so aggressive, I basically get to just farm off of his aggressive capabilities, and there you go. He was just full health, and now he's got 75. I don't know what to say. I am going to poke the IS-7, though. Get it a pretty nice shell out. We do see that they have vehicles off to our side, but obviously when they kill my WZ, it's not the biggest issue ever, because we're doing fine as it is. 2,100 damage now. The only thing I'm worried about is that 183 snapping me, because I am in the open, and he could poke that bush with probably out being spotted. But, as you can see, we are doing fine. So, nice shell into the enemy E100 for 400. and actually, what was that, 550? I think we max rolled him, which is quite nice. We are just going to move up here and see if we can get maybe another shell into the 60 or the E100. I don't think I can get that shell into the 60 TP, but E100 slightly overangles his hull, and because of that, I'm able to slam a shell right into the superstructure of his hull. So not bad. 3,078 damage dealt, 2,090 blocked. Pretty good stuff so far. We do see that the base is being capped, most likely by the TVP. Not much I can do about that, though. I mean, I cannot deal with the base capture when I literally have these two vehicles here, but we can see I have a Progetto and a Yag, which are obviously also dealing with the base cap on the other side of the map, and there you go, it does get reset, so quite nice. We have the E100, and I'm not able to get past this dead tank's carcass, but that's fine. We're still easily able to finish him off as he doesn't turn his turret fast enough, and we've dealt 3,900 damage. Okay, well, at this point, all that's left is a TVP and a 183. I know the 183 is not a one-shot. In fact, there he is, and we're going to aim it right on his tank, and, right into the gun mantlet. I cannot tell you how annoying it is to have a decent number of my shells always fly towards the gun mantlet of the 183. It shouldn't be a bounce. It just shouldn't be a bounce. It's not even the gun mantlet. The tank doesn't have a mantlet. It's just the gun. Either way, we're going to get the 183 here. One nice shell right into his tank. 440 roll, which is our alpha damage. Then we're going to reload, and we're going to see if we can get one more shell. The 183 most definitely has a shot at this point, so I'm going to, you know, take this route a little bit more careful. But we get the shell into his vehicle, finish him off, and 4,700 dealt. Okay, pretty good stuff. All that's left is the TVP. And we're going to see if we get some damage into that TVP. Right now, the enemy TVP is behind our Jagdpanzer. So, not great for us, but we're going to aim it on the rear with an HE. Very annoying. If that shell had gone where we wanted it to, this would have been about a 5,300 damage result so far. But, oh well, the TVP is still showcasing his tank. Are we going to be able to hit him? No, unfortunate. Well, we did a pretty good job. 4,885 damage. We blocked over 2,000. A very solid game for the WZ-111-5A. And it shows why this vehicle, again, is so flexible. You're able to work it on these ridge lines with really not many weaknesses. So we break into our final game, which is on New Bay. New Bay is a map that I love and hate. I like it because there's a lot of positions to work your vehicle. It's all hard terrain, which means vehicles that are slower on medium terrain are pretty fast. It's got a bridge, which I really like working sometimes. The problems with this map are your teams don't really know what they're doing all that much, and there's a lot of areas for your team to fall apart. You can see originally I was going to go up top, but I was like, nah, there's no way this team is going to go the bridge. It's just not happening, Chief. So instead, we're going to make our way towards town. You can see the crazy good mobility on the 5A, already going upwards of 45 kilometers per hour. I mean, this thing is fast. And that's one thing I do like about it. At least they buffed the mobility when they did nerf the rest of its characteristics, including the alpha damage, which again makes no sense. Either way, we're just going to move into the middle of the park here and see if we can maybe get any shots into somebody crossing. However, looks like somehow the enemy E100 got here just as fast as us. It's an example of how the spawns on this map are completely unbalanced. The enemy team gets to the heavy position faster than our team, and that needs to be changed. I don't know if Wargaming thought that through, but yeah, how am I, a tank that goes 45, getting to a position slower than two E100s? Makes very little sense. Either way, we get a nice shot into the enemy E4 for 474 damage, not too bad, and our XM66F is also getting some bleeds out. I know the E4 shot at my teammate, so we're going to aim it on the E4's lower plate. Unfortunately, the shell goes just an inch too low. Alright, not a big issue. We're going to put on our adrenaline, aim it on the 100, and oh, that was a lucky shot. Dude turned his turret, became red 0.1 seconds after we had fired, so because of that we were able to get the shell into his tank. We're already up to 1,500 damage, and again, this is where the DPM on the 5.8 does feel quite nice. I mean, this C100 is getting rolled by us here. We are already up to 1,800 damage dealt. The 1E100 is super duper low. We're just chilling here. The only problem is I can't physically pen the E100, even with heat all completely red. And that's the problem with the 5A. Thankfully, we have HE, so I'm just going to load a high explosive shell and deal 200 damage. It's better than nothing. Again, there's really not much I can do here, but we're going to aim it on the roof of his tank, and there you go. We get a shell to fly right into the bar for 470 damage. Okay, not bad. 2,450 damage dealt. 200 LTs in the back. I'm going to aim at an HE shell, and yeah! 616 damage flies right into his lower plate. That brings us over the 3,000 damage barrier. At this point, I'm going to push over towards the Badger. You can see just how troll that Badger lower plate is. Waited for him to angle towards me, and then we were able to get our shell out. 3,470 damage. Okay, well, they still have two pretty healthy vehicles. A T100 LT and a full health Minnow. So this could be a pretty good game. Well, it's already a pretty good game. I'll take 3,500 damage any day of the week, but maybe we can get a little bit more out. We're going to start by heading up towards the mid-hill, and we're going to climb up the bridge. Here we go, full speed. We're not able to hit the Minnow yet, and we're most definitely spotted. The sad thing is, with Rammer, there's literally almost nowhere you can pen the Minnow frontally. With a 5A, you need to shoot it in the side. Now, thankfully, I'm a good enough player that obviously I know this, but yeah, it can be a little bit annoying to have that as a circumstance. I mean, look at the armor the Minnow has against the 5A here. Now, those little corner cutouts on the track wheels are penetrable weak spots. However, when your shell kind of screws you and he turns at the same time, it goes just an inch off to the side and it's not able to pen. Oh well, nothing I can really do about it. We're just going to aim it on the Minnow's side here. Cut him off a little bit. There you go. Nice 440 damage fire. There you go, 4,840 damage dealt. Surprisingly, none of these games were aces. I'm very surprised because I just can't imagine that many people are playing in the 5A. But hey, I will take a 4,800 damage game. I will take all of these games. Very, very solid results for this vehicle. And as I said, it shows why I love this tank so much. It's just an incredibly flexible vehicle. People in the comments, there will definitely be some that are like, oh, I don't like the 5A at all after the changes. It's a dookie tank. But clearly, it's not a bad tank if I'm able to average this level of win rate and damage in it. It's a great tank, and any vehicle is a great tank if you know how to drive them well. I personally have not always loved the Object 260, but Fatness loves this tank, and it shows that just because I might not love a vehicle doesn't mean it's bad in everybody's hands, and it can do pretty well. So I think the 5A is honestly a pretty enjoyable tank, at least for me. Might not be for everybody, but that's what I'm here for. Hopefully you enjoyed today's video, and I'll see you all in the next one. Bye-bye.